How do you say vendedores ambulantes in English?
So good.
Hey guys, it's Holly, and as many of you know, or maybe you had no idea, Mexico is one of the great loves of my life. But in Spanish we have a phrase, del amor al odio hay un solo paso. From love to hate, there's just one step. In order to love something, you have to get to know it pretty well, and you end up seeing some of the things that aren't so pleasant. And that's why I've decided to put together this list of 10 things that I love and hate about Mexico. This video was inspired by another YouTuber named Lonrot, who is also a foreigner but has a deep appreciation for Mexico. So if you guys want to hear about those 10 things that I love but also kind of hate about Mexico, keep watching. The first thing I love and hate about Mexico are its amazing authors. There are so many incredibly talented authors to have come out of Mexico, both past and present. They have such a way with weaving a story that just gets you so involved and so excited and changes your mind and your perspective and opens your eyes. They'll take you to a new world. It's absolutely incredible and mind-boggling, and I really just wish I had more time to read more books. But that's not gonna happen. And that's where the sponsor of this video comes in. Audible is the largest producer of digital audiobooks worldwide, and I was doing a little research and they do have quite a few Mexican authors. Some of these books are in their original Spanish, others have been translated into English for all of our listening pleasure. And I just love being able to travel, drive, sunbathe, do all of my summer activities while listening to a book, which is just as good as reading. Plus, if you're practicing a second language, you can practice your pronunciation. So that's a double bonus. I am currently listening to Diablo Guardian by Javier Velasco, and my favorite part about this audiobook is that it is narrated by the author himself. So if any of you guys are interested in downloading your free audiobook and starting a 30-day free trial with Audible, check out the link I'm gonna put in the description, audible.com/superholly, or text the word superholly to 500-500. Moving right along, the second thing I love and hate about Mexico is all of the sounds of the street, if you will. Oh my goodness, this is something I experienced in every single city that I lived in. I lived in Puebla, I lived in Oaxaca, and I lived in Orizaba, Veracruz. And I hung out in Mexico City frequently. The sounds are colorful, they're crazy, they're loud, they're boisterous, and you really feel like you're inside of an urban jungle. First and foremost, let me point out that nobody is shy about hitting the old horn, if you will, and you've got all kinds of horns. You've got like the classic meep meep. Then you've got some that sound like a foghorn. They're like ma. Some even have little songs like La Cucaracha. Why would someone use their horn so frequently, you ask? Well, I'm pretty sure they're just saying something like, hey, not sure if you saw me, I'm right here, or what you just did was messed up. And I noticed. Now the horns are just the beginning. A consistent sound in your typical Mexican neighborhood is agua, which later mutates into these are the guys that are selling you the big garrafones. Or what about el pan? A man on the street selling bread. Tamales de mole de raja de dulce. In Oaxaca, I remember a truck going through our neighborhood and I thought they were selling milk because basically the sound went like this. Okay, that didn't sound like a cow, but yes. I always figured they were selling milk because, you know, logic. But apparently these are the guys that pick up your empty gas tank and replace it with a full one. I also remember when we were living in Orizaba, a woman would walk by in high heels at around 3 a.m. very frequently, and it sounded like this. So disconcerting. And I must say, while I really appreciate all of these sounds and they provoke quite a bit of nostalgia for me, it's also kind of nice to not have to wake up on a Saturday with like blaring noises in my ear. You know what I'm saying? The third thing that I love and hate about Mexico, and if you went to school in Mexico, you know what I'm talking about, the nicknames. Sometimes they're just so honest and obvious, you know? I'm surprised nobody called me La Dientona. La güera, normal. La flaca, normal. El gordo, totally normal. So to an extent, I kind of appreciate that they're just being honest about what they see and they're not trying to hide anything. I mean, if you're gonna be calling me like skinny or fat or toothy or whatever you want, at least say it to my face instead of behind my back. But then there's some nicknames that kind of go too far. We have El Camarón, the shrimp, because if you take off her head, the rest is fine. El Trofeo, the trophy, for a guy that's trompudo, has a big mouth. And feo, ugly. El pelos is typical for a guy who's bald. Pelos means hairs. And honestly, I'm mentioning some pretty innocent ones. Are they ingenious? Yes. Are they funny? Kind of. Are they messed up? Absolutely. The fourth thing that I love and hate about Mexico is family support. Now, I may be coming from a place of bitterness and jealousy, but everyone basically knows that here in the US, you turn 18 and your parents are like, all right, see you later, start paying your own bills, dealing with your own life, handle your business. You know what I'm saying? And I have noticed that most of my Mexican friends did not receive this treatment on their 18th birthday. Again, these are all generalizations. It doesn't happen the same way in every family. But there tends to be a lot more of mom and dad worrying about you, wanting to take care of you, wanting to make sure you're okay, until well into your adulthood. Now, would I have loved to have a place to go when I had nothing right after college? Yes, I would have. But also I feel like when you worry too much about your kids, you're not giving them the chance to learn how to swim by just plopping them into the ocean. The fifth thing that I love and hate about Mexico is its amazing food. Oh, I'm drooling! You've got tacos, tortas, sopes, gorditas, tlayudas, pambazos, tamales, elotes, esquites. Everything is just so good and just so fattening. Well, not necessarily, but you definitely can't eat it as often as you may want to. And the main thing I hate about this is that once you've had authentic tacos al pastor in Mexico, it is really, really hard to go back to your regular run-of-the-mill tacos here in the US. Nobody makes them the same. Con su cebollita, su cilantro, su piñita. The sixth thing that I love and hate about Mexico is the cost of things. Things in general. Speaking of food, not only is it absolutely delicious, it tends to be pretty affordable as well. You can fill up on tacos for a fraction of what they would cost here in the US, just a few pesos. You can also get fresh, organic, very inexpensive, delicious fruits and vegetables at your local markets. Again, a fraction of what you would pay at a farmer's market here in the US. Also, going to the dentist or going to the doctor is something that you can actually pay out of pocket without like croaking. On the other hand, if you want to get an iPhone 10 or maybe a nice new car, it seems like the prices are double what you would pay here. I'm probably exaggerating, but it's ridiculous how much you have to pay for technology in Mexico. It seems to be something that's reserved for the elite, and I'm not a fan of that. The seventh thing that I love and hate about Mexico is their tardiness. There's this term called a la hora mexicana. What does it mean? Well, arriving fashionably late, although I don't think that we would consider an hour and a half late fashionable. This is perfectly acceptable, perfectly normal, and actually expected in Mexico. If you say, yeah, we're having a party, it starts around 4, you roll in there around 5:30 and you might be one of the first guests to arrive. And you know, it's cool, it's fun, everyone appreciates a couple extra minutes to get ready. But when you're really trying to plan out your day, it can mess things up considerably, not to know when things actually start and therefore when they will actually end. So yeah, I love La Hora Mexicana, but I also kind of hate it. Plus, if you get too used to it, you start missing all of your other appointments as well. It can be a very slippery slope. The eighth thing I love and hate about Mexico are the street vendors. I mean, talk about convenience. Where else can you make your purchases from the driver's seat of your car? Who needs Instacart and paying all those extra fees? You could literally be on your way to a first date, your car's dirty, you forgot to brush your teeth, you're thirsty, and you don't have anything for the girl. Guess what? You stop at one red light, boom, someone's up there cleaning your windshield. Meanwhile, somebody sells you an ice cold bottle of water, a pack of gum, and a dozen roses so you don't show up empty-handed. How about that? You might even get a little entertainment on the side with a fire blower or a juggling clown. Now, what I don't like about this, first of all, with the fire blowers, they're totally ruining their lungs. But it can be a little annoying when you don't have change. You tell the guy that wants to wash your windshield that you don't need it, that you don't want it, and he jumps on there, washes it anyway, and then gets mad at you because you don't want to pay him. It's like, bro! I'm sorry. But you do have to admire the hustle, you know? The ninth thing that I love and hate about Mexico is the way they speak. Gotta love that accent, am I right? I mean, from my very humble and biased point of view, Mexico has one of the most beautiful accents, and it's also one of the most neutral ones. And before you say anything, yes, I know I'm biased, but also, I worked in the world of voiceovers for a few years in LA, and they frequently requested the neutral Mexico accent, which is basically mine. Thank you, Mexico! But it is very important to mention that Mexico has so many different accents and they are all absolutely beautiful. Up north, you've got the cachanillas. I don't really know how to do that accent. I'm not even gonna try. Then you've got like the central Mexico region, Puebla, Mexico City. You've got the fresas, you've got like the chilanga banda. And then you have like the peninsula of Yucatan. Very, very different accents. And when I say I love the way the Mexicans speak, I'm not only referring to the accent. I also love the way that they can just pull these amazing refranes, phrases, quotes, famous sayings, if you will, out of a hat. And they know how to apply them in various situations, although many of us don't learn how profoundly wise they are until we learn those lessons ourselves by smacking our heads against a wall. There's also a fascinating street talk that allows you to express absolutely everything in completely different words that doesn't even sound at all like traditional Spanish. These are often called las jergas mexicanas, and they're combined uniquely and beautifully in this song by Café Tacuba.
Ya chale chango chilango, que chafa chamba te chutas, no checa andar de tacoche, y chale con la charola.
They also really know how to play around with words, like Cantinflas, who would say so much, but at the end, not really say anything at all.
Ya cambia el asunto en esa forma, y en ese caso la medicina legal es esa. Hay otra, pero todavía no se sabe.
And just as they can say nothing by saying a lot, they can also say a lot by saying very little. In Mexico, you will very often see people taking advantage of the power of the pun, or the doble sentido. What I hate? It's highly likely that they're outwitting you and making fun of you and you haven't even noticed. This is what we call el albur. Just Google it if you have questions. And the last thing that I love and hate about Mexico are its beaches. Yes, I said beach, I didn't say something else, so check my pronunciation video if you didn't get that straight. Mexico has the most amazing, beautiful beaches. Everything's just perfect. The weather, the water, everyone's hanging out, having a good time. The food you can eat there is fabulous. Honestly, Mexico beaches equal paradise. I thought all beaches were like this until I visited a couple of really freezing cold or dirty beaches in the US, and I was like, okay, this is not panning out. You've got Puerto Escondido, Acapulco, Puerto Peñasco, Veracruz, La Riviera Maya. That's where I got married. Needless to say, my standard for beautiful beaches has been set very high. And what I hate is that many beaches just don't measure up. Mexico, you ruined me. And guys, I say all these things about Mexico because that's where I spent 7 years of my life, but I'm sure that many Latin American countries identify with several of these points. So if you live in another Latin American country, let me know if you felt like any of these things were speaking to your experience. Also, if you guys download the book I recommended or any other book, I would love to know, so let me know in the comments. Remember, you can get it for free along with a 30-day trial when you visit the link that I'm gonna put in the description, audible.com/Superholly, or you can just send a text message with the word Superholly to 500-500 and start downloading that free book. And last but not least, if you guys are interested in hearing this list in Spanish or sending it to some of your friends that speak Spanish, don't forget to check out my Spanish channel. I uploaded it a few days ago, and people have been really having a lot to say. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I love having you here. Don't forget it. Viva Mexico! Okay, bye.